On today's podcast, we have the nightmare himself. Undefeated professional boxer, Nathaniel Collins. Nathaniel, welcome to the Enhanced Performance Podcast. How are you?
I'm not too bad. How are you?
Good, bro. Good, bro. How's training been for this camp, all right?
Yeah, good. Smashing it. I was down in Sheffield like 3 times last week or twice last week. So I was getting good rounds in with Lee McGregor and I was down at Grant Smith's gym. So ended up getting a wee couple of tickets to go to the boxing. So that was good.
Yeah, that's nice, mate. I was as far in Lee.
That was good. We've been sparring like quite a bit for years. So it's always competitive, and obviously we're about the same weight. So
How many weeks out are you now then?
I am 6 weeks out on Friday.
6 weeks out on Friday. So we're getting into the main meat of the camp now. But what we want to talk about is just your journey. So how did you start off into boxing, and when did you realise when did you realise you can go pro? You know what I mean?
So I started when I was like, I think I went to my first boxing club when I was like 13. So,
Right.
which is quite late for some people.
Right.
And then my big cousin Ryan Collins, he was a boxer. He was from Irvine, so I went to watch him in the British Championships. And I was just like a wee gamer guy. I think I played COD, Modern Warfare on the Xbox, wee fatty. So my mum and dad were like, "Oh, would you not fancy getting into boxing and stuff?" So I stayed in Hamilton at the time, and I went down to Hamilton Boxing Club.
Okay.
It was a wee old guy, John McCluskey, that ran it, and honestly, I don't know how he ran it. He was frail as anything, and he looked like he was going to keel over every session he went in. So, but I went in there, and I was hitting the bags and stuff. It was nothing major, and I thought, I quite like this, but this isn't the club. And I went to a club called View Park in Uddingston, and it was good there. They had proper good boys. That's when I first really started getting into it. And then my family moved to Glasgow. I went to Bellahouston for a wee while, and then I ended up with Joe. He had his own club, Hayfield, and when I went to Hayfield, it just went kind of mad for there because Joe was like an all in, not all out kind of guy. So you went in, and his actual words used to be like, butter anybody that comes in, because we want to see if they're going to stick it and be about it. So I get battered and battered from months. And then, eventually I stopped getting battered, and that's when I was like, right, I can hold my own here, and it just took off of there.
So how was taking off? Because obviously, were you 12-0 now?
12-0.
12-0, not bad,
Yep.
eh?
6 knockouts.
Well, what? I don't know if you feel this, but I feel like you're 12-0. What, you British champion, Commonwealth champion?
Yep.
I don't feel you've got the recognition that you really deserve yet. Do you feel that? And if so, why do you think that's the case?
I agree. I agree that I've not got the recognition I deserve. I don't know, it's a funny one. I would say, without sounding very boohoo, it's about being Scottish. I've always said that in interviews, and you know, you look at the people based down south, you've got people coming out to like the ABA's English Championships as an amateur, not really done anything. Some of them not even had senior fights, and they're going right into Matchroom, Queensberry, you know, fighting on the big stage right away. So we thought of ending up here like that. I don't know why, I don't know what the deal is, but I would say we're slowly getting there, but that's it. It's just, I think it's a big problem in Scottish sport across the board, not just boxing.
Yeah, you might be right. Does something like that though almost help in a way? Does that have you have a little chip in your shoulder, like you're going to show these guys?
Definitely. I've always had a chip on my shoulder. You know, I'm happy now. Like I got my deal. I got signed to Queensberry. I'm with Track One. You know, my next few fights will be on BT, TNT Sports, or whatever it's going to be called now. So, like, I'm over the moon now, but the chip on your shoulder's still there, because you look at the guys like my weight who have probably not been in any tougher fights than I've been in, but are like household names.
Yeah.
Big following, mega sponsors, not struggling by month to month, so it's like you kind of not have a chip on your shoulder, but you're right, it pushes you on because I know what I'm fighting for. They're kind of sitting comfy now. I know what I'm fighting for.
That's right, you're right, mate. You do seem quite strong mentally. I think that's obviously a huge benefit to a fighter, obviously. Have you got any like pre-fight rituals or even some mental preparation? Do you do visualization or anything like that when you go into a fight?
So when I was an amateur, I used to go to a sports psychologist and I done hypnotherapy and stuff, and it was amazing. It was like, honestly, it was life-changing. It definitely took me from a certain place to, up levels, because I was always just there or thereabouts and everybody knew me, but I don't think anybody thought I was ever going to do anything. And then I went and seen this lady, and I swear, like, the difference was night and day. That year I won the Scottish, I went to the Commonwealth Games and stuff, so it definitely changed me. She actually retired, and then I couldn't get a hold of her anymore. I don't know where honestly, she disappeared off the face of the earth. So now I don't do anything, but I would definitely love to get back into it. And yeah, I just think from then I've always had a set way.
So for people listening, like, what kind of things have you got any tips that she told you that you can give out, like mental tips? Is there anything that you can remember that she told you?
It's strange. Like, I again, when I was doing it, people were like, "Nah, it's not going to work. It's not this. It's not that. Hypnotherapy's a lot of nonsense." She used to get me sitting in a chair, and she'd say, keep your arms on the armrest of the chair and picture like a ball of light coming out from your feet and your feet getting warm all the way up. Picture the light and then let it sit at your chest, like take in the good energy, bring it up, let it go into your head, and then let your head fill up with the light. Obviously keep your eyes closed, and that light's a winning mentality. Right, okay. And you would have to like sit. Honestly, it was hour sessions I used to do. I felt like I used to go in and sit, and when I woke up, it would be in an hour again. Like, obviously I was present and I knew what was happening and blah, 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 but it just flew by, but it was amazing. Hopefully, I don't know if I'd ever be able to replicate that be done, but I know people out there are doing it, so.
I think a hell of a time hypnotherapy gets a bad rap because you see it performed as like a stage thing and like turning people into chickens and stuff like that. And people don't realise like the actual benefit it has. Like my dad's a trained hypnotherapist, so a lot of my guys went to him, and it has a huge benefit for fighters. So that is something I think a lot of fighters should be doing, some kind of mental prep like that.
For sure, I think everybody just sees Peter Powers and thinks,
forget
about that.
So that's like, I suppose that goes into the next question, was be part of your team. So that's like a big part of it, or was a big part of your team. And I always think there's like pillars. You've got your coach, obviously your SSC coach, me. You've got like you've got your hypnotherapist, your mindset guy, your nutritionist. How important do you think your team is in your own success?
Yeah, before, obviously now I'm going up the levels. Before, and again, like you said earlier, like I've got a good mindset. I'm quite resilient, so I feel like any style of training I done or any whatever I ate or blah blah blah, I used to feel like it doesn't matter what I'm doing. The result's always going to be the same. I'm strong enough. It's all just a mindset. It's all just a feeling. The first time that thought process changed for me was when I got a nutritionist on board, and I just, like, the way I made the weight was so easy. Like, I was cutting about eating the day before the weigh-in and stuff. I was like, I'd never experienced it in my life before, and I was like, okay, maybe I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe it does matter what I'm doing, what I'm eating, what I'm thinking. So yeah, that changed massively. Again, yourself, I came on board, changed my body. Like last fight, people would have been like, get this guy tested, man. I was solid. I was solid and I was strong, and you seen it come out in my performance. So it is important to have other factors on board. Obviously your boxing coach is your main dude, and at the end of the day you're a boxer, so I always think you can eat well, you can do your SSC, you can train hard, but you're fighting at the end of the day, so you need to be able to box. So that is important. And secondary, you're right, it's pillars, but the foundations needs to be boxing. And there's lots of people I see nowadays that are doing like lots of S&C, lots of like, oh, I'm eating this, I'm doing these whatever red zone runs and stuff. But then when it comes to the boxing, they've forgot all about like you're a boxer. So it's different. It's weird. It's strange. That might be a funny opinion. Obviously, you're the S&C coach.
Well, I completely agree with you. I have guys message me and say, should I do my S&C session or should I do the boxing session? The answer is always you should do your boxing session because that's your sport. You know what I mean? We're not here to get you good at lifting weights. We're trying to benefit your boxing. So do your boxing first, always. But you're right. I find a lot of people are now maybe going too far into the S&C and like it's taking time out of the boxing, the technical training. I don't think it's a good thing. That's why I like guys having timetables and setting everything out properly like that. But I think you're completely right, mate. I completely agree with you.
It's like I was speaking to Lee about it at the start of the week, and we were speaking about the Americans actually, and he's like, I've been out. He was on GB. They done a camp out in like the USA team's place, and he was like, they just train different. They train all day, and they can train all day because like we are rattling S&C sessions, we are rattling like track work, blah blah blah. Whereas they go in and they'll spend like hours just going over technique. They'll spend hours going over footwork. They'll spend hours shadow boxing and doing head movement. And you see them doing their drills on the pads, and it's just repetition and rhythm. And like you can train like that all day, and then the next day you can train like that all day. Whereas in the UK, everyone's just like we need to go hard. We need to go hard every day.
Yeah.
We need to bash our bodies. We need to sprint our fastest. We need to, and then you see these guys, and you're like, how are they so many leagues above us? Of course, they're doing the stuff at certain times, but it's just different, and I totally am invested in that. I love the Americans. I think their style's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, they produce a lot of the greats done this, so you can't really knock what they're doing. I think you're right. It's about balance, mate. I think 2 sessions of S&C is usually enough a week. Like that's 2 hours out of your week. That's enough. You know what I mean? It depends on everyone, I suppose, like physically and like where they're lacking in certain areas. But I like 2 sessions a week for my guys a lot of the time. So how do you balance that with your kind of your life? Like you've just had a kid, yeah. So like, how do you balance the boxing with having a missus and a kid?
Difficultly. I get in trouble a lot. Nah, it's been different. It's just it's the same as everything. You learn as you go. I am very, very fortunate that Anna just watches the baby all the time, and if the baby gets up, she'll get up. If the baby needs something, she'll do it. We have a wee agreement that she can go and train. She goes and trains 3 nights a week for an hour, so I'll get the baby. But it's good, like, I'm doing my training's done, I'm relaxing. Me and the baby will chill, watch movies. Like, fortunately, she's getting that wee bit older. Before, when she was younger, it was, like, crazy. But she's 1 in, like, 2 months, so it's just flying by.
Oh, that's flown by, actually. And has that changed anything? You hear about a lot of fighters when they have a kid, like, it takes them to another level, almost. Like, they've got someone to really fight for now. Do you feel that's done that for you?
Yeah, it was funny, like, I was talking to Andrew McCart, and I said, like, yeah, I've always wanted to do this, and I've always wanted to be the best, so the baby's not changed anything. But at that point, like, I was a fresh new dad. Like, I'd been in camp, so I'd not spent a lot of time with Anna and the baby, and I was like, it's not really changed anything for me. Now we're like 10 months in, I'm like, it's changed everything. I need to make it. I want to pay off the house. I want her to have the easiest life. I want Anna to not need to go back to work and stay home, and she can spend all the years with a baby, and I can, you know what I mean? It's totally changed my perspective in the last just few months rather than from when she's been about. But it's funny because I spoke to a mate of mine who had a baby, and he was like, I felt the same. Like, see, at the start, it wasn't like, I just felt, you know, you see everybody posting like, just get pure unconditional love, and I'm like, that's all that nonsense, man. You don't even know the baby can't even open its eyes, it can't see you, but once you start seeing you and doing things and funny, like my wee one's just started giving kisses and stuff, it's like changes. Right. You're like soft as butter now.
I guess that's the difference a lot of time you hear between like the mother and the father. Like the mother is like instant, but with the father it does take a little bit of time because they're not doing anything. They can't like, open their eyes and do stuff. They're boring. But now you see personality coming across and stuff. And that obviously like helps your motivation. Like that'll get you up in the morning. And that's a huge benefit. I always say to fighters, they need to remember their why. And like having a kid is probably one of the biggest whys you can possibly have. So that's definitely going to push you on. Another thing I was want to ask you about is like being undefeated. Do you feel any pressure to protect that zero?
So that's something that's changed for me as well.
Right.
Before I was signed, I was thought I'll fight everybody, I'll fight anyone. Well, no, sorry, that's the wrong thing. I will fight anyone and everyone. Before I was signed, I thought they all doesn't matter to me. You know, if I win it's a learn, if I win it's this. I think, see, when you start boxing for a big promotion or a big, you know, on a big platform, they all start to mean a lot more. Because your bargaining chips go up.
Yeah.
But so now it's a wee bit different for me. Now I've got a wee bit more of a thing because I was like a big fish in a small pond in Scotland where I'm like, I'm not bothered, whatever, blah blah blah. Now it's opened up a bit, and I'm like, I've just got a natural thing. I want to be better than everyone, everything. So now I'm like, they all does matter.
Yeah, like you say, it's a bargaining tool that means a lot more to your paycheck if you've got that all.
Definitely.
So yeah. So who is your next opponent, and what does he do well? Are you going to be protecting that all against him, and how are you going to be doing it?
So I'm fighting a guy from Birmingham. He's called Raza Hamza.
Yeah.
He's good. He is, his attributes, he's like tall, he's 5'10", 5'11" maybe.
Yeah.
So he's big and rangy, and he's fundamentally good in terms of technique and awkwardness, but nothing I've not seen or fought before. Especially like in the amateurs, I was 60 kilo and I was tiny, and I'm fighting big guys. So all my career I was a small guy fighting bigger guys. You know, the guy I fought for the Commonwealth title, bigger guy. So it's not like I'm not going to be surprised or shocked or anything. And I've watched him plenty of times. But everybody says it's the old cliche. I'm not underestimating him either, but hopefully I'm going to make a big statement, a big performance. It's the first one on TV, so I need to do what, you know, people do, put out a big, pretty much I need to knock them spark out, and then everybody will ranting and raving and move on.
Yeah, mate. Do you ever trash talk, or do you ever like play mind games with them, maybe at weigh-ins or before on social media? Do you like any of that?
I like it. I like watching it. I've never done it. I don't see the point. I've not got no personal beef with most people. Like, it's different. If you want to come in to the weigh-in or the press conference and start, then we can start. And I've got slaggings and part for days, so we can go for it. But nah, I'm not bored. It's not about that. I'm here to fight. You know,
do your business in the ring.
That's it. I'll do my business, my talking in the ring, and that's pretty much it.
So that you are getting bigger, and you're obviously going to be 13-0. Looking forward, who do you see as a short-term kind of in the next maybe few fights that you would really like to fight? Like someone looking up in the rankings, you think, I want him. And then long-term, who's like a dream like matchup for you?
So I don't know where I'll move short-term, because ideally I would like to move into a European title, and that is held by a guy in Italy.
Okay.
So that would maybe my next short-term kind of goal. Whether that will transpire or not, I don't know. Long-term, I'd like to fight in America. I'd like to fight for like the WBC and get an American show, Vegas or Madison Square, or, you know, I'm sure that's everybody's dream, but that's pretty achievable for me. Like, I'm top 10 in the WBC, yep. So the guy who holds it now possibly might vacate. So, and then second in the WBC is Nick Ball. He's signed to the same one as me. We've got our wee beef. So, you know, it's not actually
Yeah, it's not out of the realms of possibility.
Yeah, it's not out of the realms of possibility.
I'm sure when you started boxing and someone said you're going to fight in Madison Square Garden, you were like, shut up. But realistically, you're actually not that far away from
Not that far away,
yeah. Better. You mentioned Nick Ball there. Now, what is the beef for you and Nick Ball? What happened? Because I thought it was going to happen, and it never happened. So what kind of transpired there?
That was just like, it was meant to be signed and sealed. I had a fight coming up to defend my Commonwealth against a Welsh boy, Jacob Robinson.
Yeah.
And because that fight was happening, they decided to take the Isaac Lowe fight. And obviously I won my fight, and I hurt my hand in it. So my hand was all swollen. So when they gave me the call, they said, that was like January, February, March, April, May, June. So that was May, middle of May. I took a week off and I'd hurt my hand, and they were trying to get me to fight in like June or July or something. So it was like it might have been 6 weeks after, but I wouldn't have been able to spar for the camp.
Right.
I was up for it, and I said, we'll take it if you do it in August. They said, definitely, we'll put it out, but we'll move the date. They put it out, then they said they weren't going to move the date. So I said to Sam, like, I can't fight in that day, it's just not possible.
Okay.
And funnily enough, he just went and fought Isaac Lowe about a week after I said that, and obviously Chindom made a statement. So he blew up, and then they were like, oh, you're avoiding the fight because this and that. It was never the case. And I said I'd fight him, so I signed to fight him again in November or something, I'm sure it was, in York Hall. And it was like, definitely going to happen. Contract was coming through, and it was getting like 2 or 3 weeks out, and I was like, they've not put anything out about this, what the hell's going on? Like, blah, blah, blah. Messaged Sammy's like, it's done, I assure you it's done. And then a random boxing page just put out, Nick Ball will be fighting in the York Hall, will not be against Nathaniel Collins. So I was like, right, something funny going on here. I sent it to Sam. He said, nah, definitely not. How would they know? Blah, 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 blah. It's definitely going ahead. I was like, listen, find out, will you? Because I've been in a full camp here.
Right.
And then they phoned, and he was like, nah, it's not going ahead. They wanted to fight somebody else. They wanted to go a different route. And they ended up fighting some mad random Mexican, batting him and chinning him in the first round. But I've always said I wanted that fight, and that's where the beef is. I don't particularly like him. I don't like, because he came out and started bullshitting, basically saying that I was no one, that I wasn't this, I wasn't that, and I was always calling for it. So
I like see when they're starting playing games with dates and like saying it's going to happen and call it up. There's only one reason to do that, and that's because they're worried about, they want the biggest fight to be him, and they're worried about him fighting someone like yourself. You know what I mean? So they obviously thought, we'll just take this random Mexican and have an easy fight rather than fighting a very dangerous fighter than yourself. It's as simple as that.
definitely. And if you like, I watched his last fight there, and then he get outboxed for like the first half of the fight. Eventually he got to the guy, which he does have the capabilities to do. He's strong. He's strong as anything, and he can obviously bang, but I'm all wrong for him. They knew that, and that was why, like, now he's in position number 2 with WBC. He's up there with like every governing body. So he's on a route now to world titles, and if they took me, they know that they'd have lost that position. So
well, the things about the business of this boxing, isn't it? It's just what it is.
definitely, I don't grudge him for doing that as well, and we wouldn't have had the beef had he not came out and started shouting.
Yeah.
I was ducking it or anything, so I was more than happy to go to town.
Is there anything you would advise for aspiring boxers out there, like looking back at your past now, you're established or going into these big fights, that you wish you'd done at the start that you maybe hadn't done?
Yeah. You just need to be smart with your contract, be smart with what's included. My first 3 years I boxed, and fair enough, lockdown happened and stuff, but my first 3 years I boxed as a pro. I never boxed once at my weight, at featherweight, and I was saying, like, I don't want to fight journeyman.
Yeah.
Simple as, I don't want to fight. I would rather lose my record and not fight journeyman than fight journeyman, but I fought 2 or 3 journeymen. Then I fought Monty.
Yeah.
that was my first step up, and I never wanted to go backwards after that. And then they kept trying to get me journeyman, and I left. And then my first fight, the new contract, I went with Sam, and he had like my whole next 3 years mapped out for me already. Like, you're going to fight for the Commonwealth first fight. Like, I know you've been out the ring for 2 years because of the lockdown. Can you do that? A 12-rounder right away? And I was like, absolutely. That's what I've been saying since I started. You know, so, you know, if you're good enough, don't rush. But, no, not if you're good enough, don't rush. If you don't know if you're good enough, don't rush. But if you know you're good enough, you need to go fast because it's a short career, short game.
That's it. And you don't know when you're going to get injured or stuff like that. So I completely agree with you there. But yeah, the contracts is obviously a big one because how are you supposed to know a legal contract when you're a boxer? When you're anybody, if you're not involved with being a lawyer or that, like, it's impossible. So yeah, that's a good bit of advice. Maybe have someone there that can guide you in that kind of aspect that you truly trust and isn't just someone. Definitely.
And you need to remember, like, the managers work for you. You don't work for them. You don't, like, there's a million managers in the UK. So, like, when I first went in, I never even looked at my contract. I just took the word of the first guy I spoke to and signed, you know. So, and I'm not saying there's nothing, like, I signed with Ian Wilson. There's nothing wrong with Ian Wilson. He looked after me to an extent. His shows are good. Like, it was great for me to start building up. But I knew my worth, and I was trying to, like, ride my own wave. I wasn't trying to ride off the back of other people at that time, like Cash Fruit. It would just won the British and stuff, so everyone was trying to ride off the back of that. I wasn't. I was saying, like, get me my own titles, get me my own things. So you need to just know your worth and know that you can negotiate and go in and say, nah, I'm not happy paying this amount, or I'm not happy with you taking this percentage, or I want this percentage of tickets, or I want this, or what. You know, you can go in and say to them, because what's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to say no. You say, cool, I'm going to go and speak to somebody else before and weigh up my options, because it's business. They don't care about you. I've learned that. I learned that pretty quickly. Like, and even though I'm friends with Sam and I get on with Sam, like, I've got no illusions that Sam wouldn't do what he needed to do to make his money, because at the end of the day, he's a promoter, he's a manager. His job's to make money the same way my job's to make money. So I just say to Sam now when Sam says to me, and that's how it should be, honesty.
Yeah, you're 100% right. So now that you are into the kind of big leagues, some BT Sports and stuff, you will be getting more fans because you'll keep on winning. How have you dealt with having fans? Is it a strange thing having fans? Have you had, like, pictures sent to you, like all these, like, mock-ups and, like, your highlights? How do you deal with fans?
It's so weird, like, because I'm the most normal person ever, and, like, I can't remember who said to me, but like, people actually are looking up to you, and people are actually interested in what you're doing, and you're a big deal to people, like, for them to meet you. And I was like, nah, it's like, I'm just a guy that cuts about normal. Like, I would never say, like, I don't know, I just don't feel like I'm any different. So it's funny, but I was in Braehead the other day, and two wee guys came up to me and like, Ian, Nathaniel Collins, can I get a photo? And I was absolute cheesered. I was like, no way, somebody actually knows who I am. It's happened twice or three times. It's always wee boys as well. I'm like, I was in Asda as well, and my mum was shouting at me. She was like, oh my God, Nathaniel Collins.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, hi.
Brilliant.
It's funny, but it's just like, because I've got my own gym and people are coming through all the time and I'm seeing people all the time, I don't realise, like, they think that I'm good and a big deal and stuff, like, because they see me every day, but they do.
You're a big deal.
It's funny, but I don't ever feel like that. I'm just normal, and I would never be like, even if I was making millions and, you know what I mean, if I was the next big thing and make millions, I would never, because I'm just a normal guy, you know.
When someone goes and asks for a picture, it's nice, but I always feel like if you are like that, like the Josh Taylors of the world and stuff like that, it must be a fucking nightmare eventually on a night out. Like, he can't go anywhere in Scotland, do you know what I mean? Or any of the super famous guys, it must become a bit of a drag.
Maybe when you get to that level, when everybody's asking you for a photo, I don't know, but I just think I've always just been like normal, but, or like not normal, but I think Josh has been a big deal for a long time, whereas I've been not a big deal, or nobody even knows. Like you're saying, I'm just flying under the radar now. So
You're right. Joshua's been famous for a long time. Obviously, the big massive amateur screen and stuff like that. So it's a bit different for him. Right, Nathaniel, we're going on to quick fire questions. Okay, nice and rapid, nice and easy.
Okay.
Favorite fight you've watched?
Mick Conley and Lee Wood.
Favorite fight you've had?
Bolton Stadium for an African to defend the Commonwealth. My hands were absolutely gubbed in the second. I knocked him out in the 9th, and then I've got a big portrait of me jumping up in the ropes, but there was thousands of people there. It was cool.
Brilliant. Favorite fighter?
Current or past?
We'll do one of each.
So Floyd Mayweather.
Right.
As past, current as Shakur Stevenson.
Shakur Stevenson, okay. Biggest animal you can beat with your bare hands?
A dog.
Right, what we're talking? A Dachshund, or we're talking a Rottweiler?
I don't know if I could beat a Rottweiler with my bare hand. What other animals is there? Giraffe look quite timid.
Giraffe? You've got to be kidding me.
Don't know. I've seen them swing their head, but
Yeah, I think you might have the head movement to beat them, though. We'll see. Any celeb, if you could pick any celebrity to fight, who would it be and why? Is there a celeb that you don't like out there? You're like, I would like to smash you.
I don't know. That's put me on the spot with that
Put you on
one.
the spot.
I don't know any celebs.
Mine's is Paddy McGuinness. You know Paddy McGuinness?
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
nah, he's cool.
Yeah.
I definitely would smash him. Hard question.
Right, so we'll come back to it.
Aye, come back to that one.
Facts or quote? Give me a fact, a fun fact, or a fact or a quote that you like.
A quote that I like is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Oh, I like it. If you had to pick any superpower, what would it be and why?
Teleportation, because I could travel anywhere and I could rob banks.
Perhaps we'll end on that. Thank you very much, Paddy, for coming on. And just let us know what your Instagram handle is and when is your fight.
It is Nathaniel Collins on Instagram, and my fight is the 18th of August, and it'll be live on TNT Sports, which is the new BT Sports, so it's the same thing.
Perfect. Thank you very much, mate. I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Pal. Dom,